Hey, Boaz here with Next Pittsburgh. We're here at Chatham's Eden Hall campus, about 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh, to learn all about what they're doing here. They're growing stuff in the middle of winter, they're tapping maple trees, and to tell us all about it, we've got Laura here, who's the Director of Sustainable Agriculture. Thanks for having us.
Yes, welcome. We're so happy that you're here.
And we're here on an especially special day because it's like maple season.
It is maple season. We're right in the middle of it. We've been tapping trees. We've started our evaporator, and we're starting to evaporate some of that sap. And here with us is our maple specialist.
This is Indira. You're the farm manager here.
Hi, welcome. Yes, I'm the farm manager, and I am in maple duty. This is our main activity during the winter. See, the sap is flowing.
Oh wow, and the sap is already just coming out.
Yeah, so
Can I taste it? If I just
I can give you
Gosh, it's sweet. Gosh, that's cool.
Now I'm gonna put my spout there, and then,
Just comes right out. This is crazy.
yep, it's just the weather. Yeah.
Oh, now you do another one. Okay, you do two at the same time.
Yeah, 2 per tree.
Oh my gosh, it's flowing like crazy. Let's collect this stuff.
Yeah. So now we leave the bucket here. We need to secure it because it gets very windy.
And so how long will it take for that jug to fill up?
Well, it will depend on the weather. I will leave it here today, and then tomorrow I'm hoping to have at least 2 gallons of sap.
In 24 hours, there'll be 2 gallons.
This is a red maple. If we were tapping a sugar maple, oh gosh, those get full so quickly, like a 5-gallon bucket or jug within 24 hours.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So now that you've collected the sap, now you're going to show us how you turn the sap into syrup.
Correct.
Okay, so what's happening right now? You're putting some wood in this fire.
Correct. So we are starting the evaporator. So this is the first chamber coal where we pour the sap. And then this middle here is where the cooking is happening. And then as it cooks down, it goes to this one here, the last one, where it just sits there and just start finishing cooking by itself.
So is this finished maple syrup already?
No yet, no amigo. No. This is, when we collect the sap, it's only 2% sugar.
Oh, wow.
So in order for you to have maple syrup, you have to boil all the water until you have 67 sugar content. So right now, I don't think we're even close. We started mid-February, and we do not drain this until late March.
So it's like cooking for weeks?
Correct. For a couple months, yes. And when it's about 50%, then I will drain it, and then I will finish cooking it in the kitchen because that's where I have more control of the fire.
Yeah. How did you learn to do this?
Oh my God. Yeah, because, I'm from Honduras. We do not have maple trees.
Yeah.
And this is going to be my 4th season, and I learned everything here. Last year, we gathered about 600 gallons of sap. So that gave us about 15 gallons of syrup because you need 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup.
Wow, that is insane.
Yeah, and that's why it takes a long time.
And is this sap over here, these giant containers?
Yes, that's the sap. So each of these has, I think it's 60 gallons ish. It's very weather dependent for us to have a good sap flow. And so the conditions it has to go below freezing during the night and then above freezing during the day. There's a pressure system within the tree that allows the sap to flow during the day. And at night, it sucks everything back. So if you have a bucket with sap and your tubing is touching the sap and you don't collect the sap, the tree is going to suck it back in.
Wow, that's wild.
I know. Yeah, it blows my mind. These trees are so interesting.
So it's obviously winter right now. We're in the middle of winter. It's freezing. I can't even think about planting anything in my yard for a few more months, but you're already growing stuff here.
It's true, yeah. We started planting things in late January, actually. Luckily, we have a phenomenal solar high tunnel, and you can see our solar panels just behind us, which are providing the energy to heat up the space. where we get to grow all year round, which is something that's really special about Eaton Hall.
What's happening exactly? So those solar panels, they're getting energy and then they're powering some heaters?
Yeah, they're actually heating up some water, which you can see these tanks right here. And there's a glycol solution within those. And there's radiant heat that comes up from that hot water glycol solution across at least half of the high tunnel, which heats up these beds directly, which is a nice, more efficient way of doing it. So right now we have pea shoots growing. We have a variety of greens, and including spinach and lettuces, kales, pretty much all those hardy winter crops that can survive our cooler temperatures, because you can tell it's much warmer in here than it is outside, but it's still not getting above 50, 60 degrees. So we got to have those crops that are comfortable in those more chilly temperatures. And what I love about these peas is that they climb up the fence and create this beautiful wall of green.
And so this can happen all winter long in here?
This happens all winter long. We did take a short hiatus this year to deal with some whitefly issues, which is a pest that's very common in greenhouse spaces. And the students get to do pest monitoring and kind of come up with the solutions with us, like how are we going to deal with these whiteflies? And so collectively we decided, let's take a break. And that's something that's actually pretty magical about all of these crops that we have planted here. They were all planted by students. And so this is student grown, and the produce goes towards our cafeteria and also goes towards students who take it home themselves.
Found one of your little buddies over here.
Yes, actually this toad is a part of our integrated pest management system. Toads take care of a lot of the insects in our garden, and so we take care of this toad.
Now, it's like this toad sort of like figured out a way to hack winter.
I know, yeah. I think this fella has been here maybe since I've been here, like 4 years or so. Yeah, so with the students, we always try to like encourage them to find a toad. And sometimes it will go underneath the ground, and then when you're kind of like weeding or transplanting, it just pops up.
Okay, so now we've crossed the street, and where are we right now?
Right now we're in the agroecology demonstration garden.
And what's the history of this space? You're saying sort of this was a family farm at one point?
Sure. So this was the Mueller family farm, and it's both an interesting and sad story. The Muellers, the wife and the children both died in the family, and so Mr. Mueller was left with this land, this property, and decided to turn into a women's retreat center for specifically women who are working in the Heinz factory. And so part of the buildings here are these historic homes of which the Mueller family lives in, but there's also this area called the Lodge, which is where all the women who were coming to enjoy this space, which has much less pollution than downtown Pittsburgh did at the time, to ride horses, walk in the woods, and enjoy nature. And so the land was transferred over to Chatham University, again with that kind of idea of supporting women when Chatham was a women's college. So that's kind of the history of this land in the short term. And now we're getting towards our goats, which are eagerly awaiting us. We have a livestock program here that's primarily run by students. We have goats and chickens, 8 goats. They're Nigerian dwarf goats. They all have very strong personalities. Some are more social than others or curious than others. And the chickens and the goats get along well together. The chickens will hop over here sometimes and come and say hi. We have 16 chickens. Of a couple of different species.
So are students coming out to collect the eggs every day?
Yes, we have students coming out and collecting the eggs every day as part of the checks. There's a lot less eggs being produced in the winter, but in the summer, you can get over a dozen eggs a day.
All right, we've all got our Dixie cups of maple sap. Thanks so much for showing us around Eaton Hall. This was so cool.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Love sharing.
That's so interesting. It's just so subtle. It just sort of tastes like water with like a little maple twist.
Yes, correct.